I want to welcome you back for Devos today. Very important to meet with the Lord each and every day, and this is a great way to start. We're talking all week long about the hardened heart. So this is my second day on this, and so you can go back and see yesterday's. But what I want to do, I want to take a look here first at Luke chapter 12, verse 43. Jesus said this, "Blessed is that servant whom when his master comes back here, finds doing." That's the important word here. When he comes. You know, Jesus said that when he returns at the rapture of the church, he said that the average believer in a Bible-believing church is going to be lukewarm. He said, "I would like to spit you out of my mouth." Now, I have people ask me, what's that mean? I don't know. Okay, I don't even know what that means. And I don't think I want to know what that means. I just know this. I don't want to be a lukewarm Christian. But people become lukewarm because they become hardened in their hearts. You know, if you've ever been on a boat, even a little boat, and you're out and you're just kind of sitting around the boat and kind of close to shore, you got to be sure that's anchored down. Because if you don't, the boat will begin to drift. And if you're not careful, that boat will drift into some rocks or get grounded there in the sand. Well, the same way it is with the believer. We have to check our hearts all the time. We got to be sure our temperature's right. You know, this week I've been involved now with about 3 different funerals. Did you know for a minister, and especially undertakers, and I'm going to be upfront, they're the worst. But even with ministers who follow God and we're all into heaven and everything, but it's easy for us to become cold to those who are hurting. God really got a hold of my heart on that years ago. And so I always try to imagine what it's like to be in that person's shoes. And if you've been in their shoes, it's easier to feel that way. You know, Paul Harvey, he tells the story about a lady and her husband, and they had called the church in which he attended. And here what they did was they had a butterball turkey that had been in their freezer for 20 years. So they had told the secretary of the church that they called the Butterball Turkey Company and found out that because it had been like kept at 0 all those years in temperature, that it was still good, but they told them that it probably lost its taste. And this couple told the secretary, "Well, we know it's still okay. We would like to donate it to the church." Well, of course they want to donate it to the church. They don't want a tasteless turkey. Oh, but they would give it to the church. I remember we had a sale here, a garage sale, and a lady gave me a bag of things that she was donating to the church. Well, I went rooting through the bag, and there was 1 shoe in there. Where was the second shoe? She had to have known she didn't give us 2 shoes. She didn't care. Why? Because people have hardened hearts, and they don't want to give God their best. Now, what causes hypocrisy? Well, here, let's look over here in Mark chapter 7, verse 6. He says, Jesus said, "These people, they honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me." So, you know, here we are. We have all these people go to church. You might even give to the Lord, but their heart really isn't there. They go to church. They're not even sure what the preacher was speaking on. Some of you, listen, this is your devotional time at church, and maybe not with this, but especially people watching the church services. Sometimes they're doing other things, and they're texting people because they're just kind of going through the motions. Now, I know some of you say, well, that's one of the reasons why I don't like going to church, because the church is full of hypocrites. Well, I got news for you. Don't join the church because you're just going to ruin the whole bunch, because you're a hypocrite too, and there's hypocrisy in my heart. So that's why I'm not wearing a halo right now. All of us are hypocrites at one point or another. It reminds me of this soldier during the war. Oh, they were out in the battlefield, and he jumped in one of the trenches, and there he saw a chaplain there, and the chaplain was holding the crucifix. And so he grabbed the crucifix off the chaplain, and then he started to rub it, and he goes, "How do you work this thing?" You know, we run to God when we're in trouble. That's pretty hypocritical, isn't it? Now, listen, I want you to get to a place where I talked yesterday about being pure in heart with God. You're living for Him and you want to serve Him and your heart is moved for Him. Listen, I want you to pray, God, I want my heart to be moved by the things that move your heart. Now, let's look down here in Mark chapter 8, verse 17. It says, do you not yet see or understand? Are your hearts hardened? I want to tell you something that I feel very strongly about. I'll have people come to me and they'll be arguing with me about the gay lifestyle. They'll want to argue with me why they're going to vote for a candidate that believes in abortion, and they want to keep that going. I won't argue with them at all. You know why? I realize they're lacking so much understanding. I know that their eyes are blinded. I know their ears can't hear. I know there's no understanding in their heart because they have a hardened, cold heart. Now today and all this week, I want you to check yourself. And I just want you to pray, God, I'm asking that you would soften my heart.